Okay, so you guys have been sending in a lot of messages about this incident in Munich.
Yeah, a car driving into a crowd.
Yeah, pretty disturbing stuff. So we're going to deep dive into what we know so far,
Absolutely.
try to make sense of it all. Munich, Germany, right near the central train station, a rally. It was linked to the transport union Verdi was taking
Hey,
place.
that's right.
And this all happened, this is really important, just hours before major world leaders were going to be arriving for the Munich Security Conference.
Yeah, and the timing of this is really interesting because
Oh,
Verdi
yeah?
is a pretty powerful union in Germany with a history of advocating for workers' rights.
Right.
They often align themselves with left-leaning political parties.
Okay.
So this incident, especially happening right before this high-profile international event, could really shift public discourse, you know?
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about Verdi's political size.
Right.
But let's rewind a bit, though, and get a clearer picture of what actually went down.
Sure. So, around 10:30 this morning, a car deliberately drove into a group of people at this rally.
Wow.
Police on the scene reacted really quickly. They fired shots at the vehicle and eventually apprehended the driver.
So quite a chaotic scene. What about casualties?
Yeah, at least 28 people were injured, some seriously tragically. There were children among those who were hurt as well.
Gosh, that's just awful. Hearing about the children being involved. This obviously raises a lot of questions, starting with who exactly was behind the wheel.
Right. So authorities have identified the driver as a 24-year-old Afghan asylum seeker.
Okay.
It's also been revealed that he was known to the police for some previous offenses like theft and drug offenses.
Hmm.
Chancellor Scholz has issued a very strong statement emphasizing that this individual needs to face punishment, severe punishment, and ultimately deportation.
A strong statement from the chancellor, for sure. But I have to wonder, is this just about justice? Or is there a political calculation here, too? Especially with the election coming up. I mean, this whole thing plays right into all those anxieties around security, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't ignore the context of the upcoming federal election where security is a huge issue for voters.
Right.
And remember, this isn't happening in a vacuum. Germany has had to deal with a string of violent attacks recently.
Yeah,
So understandably, there's a lot of unease among the public, right?
of course.
And this event, no matter what the motive turns out to be,
Yeah.
it's going to intensify that whole debate around immigration and security.
For sure. For someone who's not super familiar with German politics, this whole Munich Security Conference thing might just seem like another event on the calendar.
Right.
But can you give us a bit more background on why this conference is such a big deal and why the timing of this incident is so sensitive?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Munich Security Conference, it happens every year.
Okay.
It's where world leaders, diplomats, security experts, they all come together to talk about the biggest security challenges facing the world, right?
Got it.
It's a really high-profile event, and having this incident happen now,
Right.
even if authorities don't think there's a direct connection, it still casts a long shadow, for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. So we have this whole backdrop of heightened security concerns, a major international event about to start, and now this car driving into a crowd.
Yeah,
And you mentioned earlier that there were conflicting reports about a possible second person in the car.
right.
It's all pretty unsettling, to be honest.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that part of the story is still being investigated. But what's really fascinating here is how this event kind of brings together a bunch of different themes we see in German society right now.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Well, you have the election coming up, where security is a key issue, as we've said.
Right?
And then you have this ongoing debate about immigration, how it impacts social cohesion. This incident, whatever the motive turns out to be, it's going to be central to those
It
conversations.
seems like it's unavoidable. We're seeing some really strong reactions from officials already.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eyewitnesses have been talking about the terror, the chaos of it all. The mayor's expressed his concern for the injured children.
Right.
And then you have the premier of Bavaria. He actually called it a suspected attack and demanded change.
Yeah.
What do you make of all these responses?
Well, the premier calling for change so strongly, I think it shows how much pressure politicians are under to,
Yeah,
to really address these difficult issues.
for sure.
And this incident will likely be used by different political groups, especially those who want to see stricter immigration policies and tougher security measures.
I could see that.
It could be a turning point in the whole election campaign.
So where does this leave us? We have a lot of unanswered questions. Was this a targeted attack? Was it an act of individual violence? What will the impact be on the election? What does this tell us about the state of security in Germany right now?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. Those are the big questions, and we need to keep those in mind as this story develops.
Absolutely.
We'll learn more in the coming days and weeks, and it's crucial to watch how this incident shapes public opinion and the political conversation in Germany.
It's a lot to process. So as you follow this story, think about the suspect's background, think about the political climate, that upcoming election, and ask yourself, is this an isolated event? Or is it a symptom of something bigger going on in Germany? Keep that question in mind as you analyze the information and draw your own conclusions.
Really good advice.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll keep you updated as the story develops.
Absolutely. Thanks
Thanks.
for having me.